Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower clear.
We got a roll program. And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth. Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Okay, stand by, 13. We're looking at it.
What's going on, fam? Josh here, back in the dojo. Today is January 1st, 2025. So we all know what kind of frequency, what kind of vibe is in the air right now, right? And as much as most of us fail, we set those resolutions and then, we set our goals, our to-do lists and stuff like that. And I forget the percentage, but most of us fall off track rather quickly. I think before the month of January is out, most people have fallen off. And then by February, the rest of us have taken a step back or what have you. But I say all that to say this. This has to be the year that we submit, man. We submit. Been working on myself. I've always been someone who works on myself as far as into fitness, personal development, reading books, buying courses and stuff like that just to make myself better. But even though I invest in these things, the struggle is real. You heard that term before. The struggle can sometimes be real. But I'm on track now, right? I think the older you get, the more you start to realize or understand how your personal manual works, like how you operate. And it'll always be like a never-ending process. It's like exercise. It's not that we exercise today and we're good for like the month or the year. It has to be a daily or weekly practice. Same thing with food. We may be full now because we just got some Uber Eats, knocked it back, and we're feeling good right now, but eventually we'll need to eat again. So it's the same thing with what we feed our spirits, what we feed our minds, stuff like that. So I've been listening, it's season now, I've been listening to some OGs, man, people I've been listening to for a long time, some religious leaders, some thought leaders and stuff like that. And I got a message from this brother, not personally, but I'll subscribe to YouTube. I'll be on YouTube and all that. And he was saying that you have to submit, man. If there's anything that you want to do in your life, if it's anything that we want to do in our lives, in order to successfully do it, we're going to have to submit to that process. And the analogies he gave really broke it down for me. He was just saying, like, if you want to, be married, right? There's a particular person in your life that you love. Right. In order to make this thing work, there's going to have to be some submission between the two of y'all. Right. Now, submit. Let me get a definition of submit. Accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. Right. It's one more time. Accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. Now, surface level, some of you may be triggered by that. You may be like, who am I to? Who are you to make me submit, right, to your authority or your superior force? I think that word right there is a little triggering, the superior force. But basically, the OG I was listening to was saying, like, if you want the thing to work, man, you guys are going to have to submit to each other, man. And if you love each other, if there's a real connection between the two of you, you'll want to submit to each other, right? In the beginning of a relationship, you get those, what they call them, like the love goggles or whatever, or like, love is blind. He or she could do no wrong. Everything is funny, this, that, and the other. You want to do well for this person. You want to buy things for this person. You want to spend time with this person. You want to text this person all day, right? These are things that you want to do, at least initially. But as the relationship matures, sometimes we can get into a pattern of like, well, it's not as new as it used to be, right? Not as fun as it used to be. But if you guys are committed to making it work, you have to submit to that person and vice versa. So I think it's the same thing we need to do in 2025 with our goals and things that we want to do this year, things that we've been putting off for years, things that we've tried and then, shelved for, however long. I'm a shelver. Like I've tried new things, really into it, put my all into it. And then I'll just hit a day where like, I'm going to take a break. And then that break turns into multiple breaks. And before you know it, I'm off season, as I like to call it, right? I'm out of season, right? And then one day something to spark, whether it's a conversation or something I see on YouTube or something. And then I'll be like, why did I stop doing that thing, right? Why didn't I submit to like that process? And maybe a part of it, I can't speak for everyone, but maybe a part of it is that when the thing that you're into, right, when the novelty has worn off, it's not new anymore, and it's time to really build it, it's more work involved, right? Feelings are involved now. There's fear of failure, fear of what if I lose this thing, or what if it doesn't turn out exactly the way that I planned, right? Or, different things like that. So it's like, in 2025, I want us together as a community to submit to a few things, right? I'm going to give you 4 things that you can do, it's little hacks or whatever you want to call it, that you can do to help yourself. And, I'll also be doing these things, submit to who we want to be as a person and who we want to serve and what we want to put into this world, right? We want to submit to those things. Who are we committed to becoming? Who is it that we want to serve, right? And, what do we want to put into this world? What kind of impact do we want to have in this world, whether creatively or, whether it's getting on YouTube or, starting a business or helping people that could really use the help. What are we committed to as a community? And let me fix this joint. As a community, what are we committed to as people to submit to, right? What are we committed enough to that we're willing to submit to these things right now? We know it's January 1st. There's going to be a lot of people in the gyms and everywhere right now, right? Everyone's writing their to-do list. Everyone's getting in shape. Everyone's, starting to do things that they think will help, make them happy or put them in the right direction, which I think is great. Here's a hack, though. Here's a hack. Instead of starting I'm calling this one Crowded January. Instead of starting your New Year's resolution, so to speak, in January, I'm going to submit to you that you should start putting the pieces together in February, right? Because by the time, like I said in the beginning, when people are starting to fall off the wagon, the people that set those, those goals for January, the gyms are starting to empty out again, right? The habits that people were committed to creating, and not so committed to them anymore. Now that everyone's sort of fallen off the wagon, this is where you pick up your momentum, right? What I'll say though is in January, not that you don't do anything, right? You still need to work, right? You still need to work on yourself. But I would say this is where we set our to-do list, so to speak, or our manual. Things like, what am I going to read? Am I going to meditate? Who am I going to subtract from my life? What additions do I need to make into my life, as far as in the form of coaches or just a community? Basically in January, instead of committing to these goals and starting to take action on them, let's just write the goals out, or at least mentally put them together. You know what I mean? They say we live our lives one day at a time, which is true, right? I know it's not news to you. But instead of focusing on this grand vision of like what we want our lives to be, right? What if we just focused on what we want our day to be, our ideal day? What does that look like? What does that sound like? You know what I'm saying? So that way we can start to work on, okay, like as I put together my list of what I'm going to start in February, what does my morning, afternoon, and evening look like? What are the things, what activities am I committed to doing? What am I committed to? What am I committed to enough to submit to? So if that's like, okay, morning routine, I want to start to exercise in the morning. All right. Submit to that. And it's not always going to feel great. The ones you love the most, you don't always have a fantastic time with them. Maybe you have a fantastic time most often. But there are challenges, right? This is just how life works. There's going to be challenges where it's like, man, I love this person. This is my friend. This is my spouse. Like, whether this is my family member, my mother, my father, right? My siblings. I love this person, but right now we're just not seeing eye to eye. That's okay. Okay. That doesn't mean it's time to like part ways. This is just a real relationship. Same like as a business or a passion. When you first find a passion, like for me, for example, when I first discovered photography and videography, I loved it, man. It like changed my life, so to speak. Not that my life was like not that I was headed up a cliff or anything, but I was like, I like this, man. This is a vibe. It's sort of like, it makes sense. The things, experiences, and jobs or things I've come into up until this point. This is all like a culmination of like my skill sets and my interests. So I love this. I always wanted to be some sort of creative. So I was like, this is what I want to do. But what happens is the longer you stay in it and the more you pursue it and the more you build a network and the more people associate you and they get to know you for a particular craft or whatever, now it becomes real. Now it's like we're out of the honeymoon phase. As like, the analogy for when you're in a relationship, we're out of the honeymoon phase now. Now it's time to like, okay, we live together now, right? We're married now. We have children together now. So if we're going to do life together, right, we have to take it to this next level. We got to get it. The honeymoon phase is over. So the honeymoon phase was over with my photography, videography, maybe like a couple years down the road. Not that I didn't love it anymore, but now it's like, okay, now I got to figure out contracts and, I messed up a project, like I'm late turning in an assignment, or, I need more work. I'm not getting enough work. And then the work that I get, it's like, man, I'm not really passionate about this project, but I need it because I got to get the bread. So there's all these things, these challenges that come up to it, that will come up in any industry, in any endeavor. But when you look up, and years has passed and you're still doing that thing, that's when I've submitted to this thing. And most often, like the best thing we could do is work on ourselves, or whatever our creative craft is, whatever it is that we want to do. Whatever relationships you want to build, we have to work on ourselves. That's really what it comes down to, working on ourselves. And that's what this YouTube channel is committed to, is helping folks like us build the strongest minds, body. Or I get strongest. People say strong all the time, but like the most fluid and free-flowing minds, bodies, and spirits, right? We want to be free, okay? So now, crowded January, instead of starting in January, I want you to start in February or March, but use January and or February if you're starting in March to start to lay out what your day looks like. What does my day look like? Okay, what am I doing in the morning? And what am I eating in the morning? What am I not eating in the morning? What time am I getting out to work? When I'm at work, what are some ways I could, continue to work on myself, even though I'm at my job, right? Different things like that. What am I doing at nighttime? What's my, evening routine? Okay. What am I taking in? What kind of content am I watching? What am I committed to, cutting out? What kind of content am I committed to cutting out of my daily intake and stuff like that? So we're going next January as far as starting to take action, but we're going to write out our script in January so that we can start in February. So while everybody else following up the clip, we'll be starting a bit momentum. 2 is you don't need a better you. Let me read this to you real quick. You don't need a new you. Why skip it? Self-improvement doesn't mean starting over. It means building on who you are. Okay. What to do instead? Choose a better me. Choose better me goals. Focus on enhancing strengths or expanding hobbies you already love. I'm with this one right here. I love this one because I told you I'm a starter. I'm a strong starter. I get ideas and I'm inspired. I'm taking action and the work is good and people are, enjoying it. I'm getting positive feedback, but then I'm kind of like, let's check something else out, right? The season's over. So then when we get back into season, right, when I'm inspired again, I watch a video or what have you, get a good workout. I'm back in season. I'm like, yo, why did I stop? And then you have this sense of like, I have to start all over again. Like, let's get back and let's start at page 1 again. But it's like, why? You know what? We don't have to start at page 1 because that's not even how life works, actually, right? Even if we do cycle through, I was on track and then I fell off. Even when you revisit it again, you never start back at page 1 because you have experience with it. So I'm saying intentionally, as we look in 2025, we start to, want to build our perfect day so that we could build our perfect week, build our perfect year, build our perfect life. Okay. And by perfect, I just mean just being able to flow through it, right? As seamlessly as possible. Let's reflect on our strengths. What are the things that we learned, whether in season or out of season? What are the things or experiences that we've had that cause us to be like, I'm actually good at this. I've always gotten positive feedback with this. Even though or maybe there's an activity you tried before and some things you liked about it, some things you didn't. And that's actually how most things are in reality. What are those things what are the things that you did like about that activity, right? Or that, that pursuit. Let's hold on to those things and build on those things, right? Yes, we will have to do things we don't enjoy in life and in our careers and our relationships. You don't always, even though you love your kids, you don't always you're not always pleased with what's happening with the kids right now, but you love them, right? So what are the strengths that we love about ourselves? What are things that people have been telling us that we're good at? What are things that sparks interest in our lives, right? There was a book, I think it was a 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I listened to a lot of audiobooks, but he was saying that don't look at life as a matter of like happiness or sadness, right? You trying to, tick towards happiness, like what makes me happy. He said you should kind of look at it look at it as more of boredom and excitement. Am I bored in my life now? Is my job or career or lack thereof causing lots of boredom and apathy in my life? And if that's the case, what can I do to make my life more exciting? Now, choose the right vehicle now, because there's a lot of things you could do to make your life exciting, but it might ruin your life, right? It might snatch the rug from under your foundation. So I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying instead of being like what makes me happy or what makes me sad, and this being sort of, not arbitrary, but just like, it's almost like how do you grasp happiness? Because you're not always happy, you're not always sad. Sometimes you just feel mid, sometimes you feel mad, sometimes it's just like, I'm all right, it's cool, right? But you feel like what are activities that I can engage in to make my life, or at least most of the days of my life, exciting? Because no matter what we do, we're going to have boring days. But instead of trying to be happy, what can we do to make ourselves excited? And a lot of times we have to draw from those experiences that we've already had in those past seasons, right? Even though we started and stopped. Those 3 times that you started and stopped. The 4th time you start again, let's take inventory on like, I'm actually dope with the camera, or like I have a great voice, or I'm actually good with math. I actually like math, or I actually like teaching kids, or I actually like sharing my experiences on YouTube or what have you, right? So that's what we need to do. That's the second thing we need to do. First thing is we need to start in February or March, putting these things in play, building our perfect day. Second thing is not to focus on like, new me, new year, new me. Just be a better you. Build off of the experiences that you've already had in your life, right? So we can keep moving this thing forward. Third, the brain hates to be thrown off rhythm. Your brain hates sudden change. Why skip it? Neuroscience says big abrupt shifts cause resistance. What to do instead? Layer your changes gradually. Stack one small habit onto another. For example, drink water before coffee, then add a 5-minute routine, so on and so forth. Okay, bang. Which is true. Sometimes we're forced to make sudden changes, right? Make a real decision, whether because of a life event, something was taken from you, or more things were put into your lap. But most often, if we're trying to make these changes, we have to make them gradually, okay? And I know we like the instant gratification. You're talking to Mr. Instant Gratification right now. I want it sooner rather than later, right? And when I'm not getting it right now, I get kind of bored. And I want to do something else that's exciting right now. Again, I want to start something new. And I'll be back to this season eventually, right? That's what I've come to realize. Again, the older you get, the more life you live, you start to understand your manual. In season and out of season, okay? But if we could just start to build these small habits, this can, we can start to stack, build momentum and sort of stack these habits. This is what I always suggest. Again, I've been a trainer for over 2 decades, right? I don't do it as often now. Like I did a group workout with my coworkers maybe a couple weeks ago. That was fun. I don't train anybody anymore, but I've been a trainer for enough years to where like it's part of who I am now. I always suggest when we want to build habits, right? When we want to advance our careers or better, put more excitement in our relationships or whatever it is that we want to do, make more money. A lot of times we can't control, well, I guess we can never really control outside, variables. All we can do is control what we can control. And what we can always control is our level of fitness, okay? What we eat, what we don't eat, how we move, how active we are. And the sedentary lifestyle is depressing. I'm just put my hand up. I know that personally. A sedentary lifestyle is depressing. When you just sit or you're not active, you're not moving as much as you need to move, your body starts to ache. Things take more effort. Your mind feels foggy. Instead of sort of working on the knots you have to untie in your life, you sort of just thinking about the knots you have to untie in your life, which sort of stacks and makes you more depressed, whatever. We have to move as human beings. We have to move our bodies, as simple as it may sound. We all understand. We all know we feel better after we move, whether it was something you did purposely or, you had to run from something or you had to go catch your bus or something like that. We feel better after we move, after we get the oxygen into our lungs, right? And we get our blood flowing and our blood is circulating better and it's going to our brain. These things are biological, like happiness, this excitement thing. These things are to a large degree biological. Okay, now obviously there are things we can't necessarily touch. Science can't touch it, but science can sort of like can back up the tangible discoveries of what exercise does to our brains, our brain chemistry, our neurological system, stuff like that, right? So we need to move. So I say all that to say this. I think you should build a home gym. Now I know, again, I've been training in gyms for years and in people's homes. I am going to have a gym membership. That is one thing I will have, right? To different gyms, no matter where I live in the world. But, and I don't know why it took me so long to realize this, I think a home gym is a game changer. A home gym is a game changer. Being able to get up, right, in the comfort of your own home, not have to worry about getting dressed, right? Not having to worry about the ride to the gym, the ride, after you had a good workout, the ride home from the gym, and then you get ready, To be able to have access to things right in your kingdom, right in your domain, I think is powerful. And it's something I'm implementing this year. Over to my left, I have a row machine, which is dope. And, I'm team Amazon. So I get my computer gear, my camera gear and all that. So I'm like, I'm going to build my home gym from Amazon too. Why not? I've got a rower over to my left, which is a great cardiovascular full body. I think it works 85% of your body. It's an amazing machine. It's joint is dope, right? I'm getting my treadmill tomorrow. Got a little mini treadmill so I can run on a treadmill in the morning. Or at the very least, when I'm, sitting at the computer working, I can walk while I'm, at my standing desk just to get the juices flowing and stuff like that, right? So I'm not sitting and feeling sedentary and feeling depressed. I also have a sauna over to my back there. I also have a sauna. Matter of fact, can we see the row machine? All right, it's on the floor. We can't see that. But I got a sauna, a personal sauna. These things are relatively inexpensive, man. Very affordable. If you can afford Uber Eats for like a month and a couple Uber rides, you can afford these things. And I think these are going to be game changers. And what this allows us to do is have small wins with everything. It allows us to have small wins. It allows us to do what we just talked about and to stack these positive habits on each other. And what happens is these habits start to stack. You have this greater sense of well-being, and because you have this greater sense of well-being, now these start to spill over into other areas of your life. So again, if you made it, let's say you weren't the best saver, right? You weren't someone who saved a lot of bread on a regular basis, and you notice a habit that you need to break. You need to implement another positive habit, right, to get to where you want to go financially. But sometimes we can't start there, even though we can physically start there. Sometimes it's harder to just be like, all right, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to do right with my money. What if you just worked out in the morning and just committed to that and let what the biology does, right? Let your neurological system, the gray matter, your prefrontal cortex, let that build up, and you have this greater sense of well-being because you're like, oh, I can do difficult things. And you start to enjoy the exercise, right? You start to like the way you feel. You start to get those compliments and all that, right? Then you feel more confident. They're like, you know what? Now that I've accomplished this, right? Now that this is, and again, exercise is a lifelong thing. There's never really an accomplishment. You can accomplish things, but this movie keeps going, doesn't end, right? But now that I've got this under my belt, let me start to put a little bit of money in the stock market, or do a stash app, or let me at least budget a little bit better. Let me at least cut out, 5 of my Uber each, treats every month, or whatever that thing is. The exercising starts to take hold of like your mind, who you are as a person, which I think is a beautiful thing. And if you have it in your home, I'm telling you, the best chance if you have an exercise adherence and exercising consistently is have it in your house, man. And Amazon and other companies have made that super realistic for most people. Especially if you have kids, you got jobs, it's cold outside, just have it in the crib, man. You can just come home, but I think you should have a variety too. And I can't speak for everybody. I like to do a myriad of things. I like to run. I like to cycle. I like to hit the row machine. I like resistance training. I like hit training. I like jujitsu. I like wrestling. I like kickboxing. I like to hike. I like to do a lot. So I need the variety in a home gym that you craft to perfection for who you are. I think will greatly increase the chances of you adhering to this, your 2025 health and fitness goals, which will eventually lead to your other goals, stuff like that. So exercise, prayer, meditation too. When in the sauna, I start to stack. This is called stacking, where you do, multiple things at one time. While I'm sitting in my sauna, which is back there behind those pictures and whatnot, this is why I pray and meditate. I feel fantastic after the sauna too. I'm gonna do another video just on the sauna, but the sauna is amazing, man. But I feel fantastic after the sauna. So while I'm in the sauna, while I'm quiet, I'll put on my visualizations right here on my iMac. Whether it's work I've done already, videos I've shot already, whether it's visualizations from other people's, travels or YouTube channels or whatever. And I'll sit and I'll pray and I'll meditate for that whole half hour, do 30 minutes a day. I'll do that whole half hour and just feed my mind and feed my spirit and just be happy being present, but also sort of designing and drawing my future as I'm in that sauna, designing it as I'm in the sauna, right? So if you need, you've heard, you need to meditate more, you need to pray more, but you're like, I can't meditate, I can't, it's a whole nother video. But if you love the sauna feels fantastic. It's like a steam sauna too. Get in that personal sauna, which is mad cheap, and use that as your prayer and or meditation time. Even if you don't meditate, which they're both the same thing to me. Pray in that joint. Or just be quiet in it. Detach from social media, whatever that is, for that 30 minutes in the morning, or maybe before you go to bed, after work or something like that, just to really set your intentions for who it is you want to be, who it is you're willing to become, and what you have to submit to in order to become that person, all of that stuff. And last but not least, embrace the magic. Get lucky. I don't know who said this, but luck is when hard work and preparation meet. Embrace that magic, man. Now, some people you have to be careful. Meaning, some people rely on magic all the time. I know some religious people who aren't practical at all, or not practical enough. And they strictly rely on prayer and, hope and miracles and stuff like that. And I get it. But if you're putting these things into place, right? Like I said, we can only control we can control. We can't control the variables outside of ourselves. But if we're writing down our plan for January so that we can implement in March or April, right? Creating our day in January and implementing in February and March. Did I say April? February and March. If we are understanding that this thing doesn't end, and even though we've stopped before and started and stopped and started, we've taken some valuable assets from each experience. So now that we're back in season, right? This is the beginning of the season, 2025, January 1, right? We're in season. What are things that we've learned from the times we've stopped before, different experiences that we had? Let's build on those strengths. Is it your communication? Is it your ability to reach people? Is it your organizational skills? Is it your creativity? Whatever it is, let's not start from page 1 again, because that's not how life works. Even though we've started and stopped, and maybe we feel like we should be on chapter 15, realistically, instead of starting at chapter 1 again, page 1, chapter 1, we might be on chapter 7 if we take inventory, if we just look at what we've learned, right, and start to extract those lessons from that, right? 3 is we're going to implement change slowly, right? We're going to get our health together. Health is wealth. We already know that. No matter what we get, we're not going to be as enthusiastic about it if our health is bad. If we tore our health up to build this fantastic, financial lifestyle, what's the point? Because then if we got this money, we spending the money on our health. Somebody made forget who made that quote, but if we fail to, whatever, something like, basically, if you fail to prioritize your health, if you spend your health trying to get rich, you're going to then spend your riches trying to get healthy, something like that. I don't know if that's Warren Buffett or whomever, but it's true. So we're going to get our health together, even though we have other things that we need to do in our finances and our relationships and our career and all that, right? And our impact and all that. Let's get our health together just in the sake of building small wins, building better habits. And we know these will spill over into all those other areas of our lives, right? That things the variables we can't control, because we control this variable, is going to make a difference in those other areas. We know that, okay? We know that. Now that that's the case, now that we're doing these things, right? Embrace that luck, man. Just know that because I'm putting these things together, I'm going to get lucky. I'm preparing to get lucky. That person that I need to talk to, or that organization that I wanted to get in, build the network with, or that person, right, that I want to talk to, even if you don't even know who that person is at this point, or that career change, or that influx of finances, right? Believe you're going to get lucky, because you will get lucky. But you increase your chances of getting lucky when you just start to implement things that are within your control. Again, your prayer, your meditation, your exercise, what you eat, what you don't eat. Okay, your vision board, your process, right? Your consistency on the process, and basically submitting to these things. If we submit to these processes, shout out to cats in the UK and all who like to say process. If we commit to these processes and understand that, it's real. The love is real now. We're out of the honeymoon phase. This is what I want to do, and I'm willing to submit to the process, whether I enjoy it every single day or not. Similar to exercise, you won't enjoy it every single day, but it's a good thing. I'm going to do it regardless. And most times by the end of it, you're like, I'm glad I did that. But what I'm saying is, once we do all these things, I'm trying to tell you, the universe be universing. The luck be lucking. You know what I'm saying? The situation be situationing. If we submit to the process of just getting a little bit better every day, of writing down what we want our day to look like, of taking inventory on the skills and everything that we built over time. If we do these things, I believe that we'll get really, really, really lucky in 2025, so that you can be a blessing, to yourself, but more importantly to other people, man, to the ones closest to you and the ones you don't even know right now who you're going to impact. So happy New Year. Happy January 1st, 2025. I hope this is a fantastic year for all of y'all. As always, y'all, ABC, always be creating, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.